So I'm live at the Red House with some distant cousin of mine, Will Easter.
Somebody just told me that the other day. I think Drew Willerson did. Wait, you and I talked about that too, I think.
Yep.
On Instagram.
Yeah. Yeah. I didn't really think about it. I did assume, I assumed over the years that you might be related to the Easter brothers. But yeah, my grandfather was like, I think first cousins with them.
Okay.
So I think that might make us, based on what we were talking about, we might be something like what, fourth or fifth cousins?
Pretty close
like
to that. Yeah.
So that's pretty fun.
Yeah. Staying involved in music.
Yeah.
Music and beards.
Music and beards. That's exactly right. So speaking of music, what's up with you?
This year's been pretty good to us so far. I got to play the band competition at Merle Fest back in April, and we technically didn't win, but we won. The people that won the band competition couldn't show up and play the winning slot, so we were the runners-up, and they asked us to play.
Nice.
So we got to play on Hillside Stage Sunday, which was pretty sweet. So I consider that a win. So I'm going to say I won the band competition.
Might as well.
Yeah, winners show up and do their job, right?
I think that's part of the criteria.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Then we did Shikori Hills last week. Last week was, I think, 5 consecutive days of shows, which felt really good.
Oh shit. We got to pause. We got to start over.
Okay.
We got to start over. I'm sorry.
Okay.
I forgot about the fucking camera. The first intro, or just stick, or do another one.
Okay.
Just in case, whatever.
Yeah.
I'll probably keep some of that audio and just like reveal my mistakes to the world.
Okay,
just
cool.
edit that in somehow.
Yeah.
So anyway, again, I'm live at the Red House with Will Easter. So you were just telling me that you've had a very busy couple weeks playing Merle Fest and Shikori Hills.
Yeah.
And you were just on Shikori Hills. So you said 5 days in a, what'd you say, 5-day weekend?
Yeah. We did like a private show up in Blowing Rock at a place called Blears Mountain Club. And then I did a solo show in Greensboro at the Flatiron with my buddy Jack Marion. And then the Brewer's Kettle. Did a full band show there Friday night, and then full band show at Shikori Saturday night, and then a singer-songwriter in the round Sunday morning at Shikori. So that was, I was tired. I was tired Monday. I woke up and I was like, man, do I really gotta go to work now?
I bet, man. Are you out of Greensboro?
That's like as in like
where you live?
Oh, I'm in Boone.
You're in Boone.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah,
wow.
Yeah.
You came down here from Boone.
Yeah.
Wow. Thanks. Thank you for coming down.
Oh,
man.
yeah, for sure.
I know of your name. I kind of thought you were Greensboro, so I guess that's a longer drive than I expected.
Yeah, well, that from like the Madison area originally, like Pine Hall.
Okay.
Is where I'm from. So yeah, I always kind of claim that, but also Boone as well.
Yeah. Well, so I don't know how the editing will go. I wanted to mention again, like there's this connection that we have with the whole Easter brother thing.
Yeah.
Like, I guess one of the things I thought would be interesting to ask you, knowing you were going to come over, was like maybe something about this legacy of music. You know, like this area is rich with music.
Yeah.
The rich with gospel, rich with old time, rich with bluegrass, lots of things. You happen to be part of this family tree that has a good amount of music in it.
Yeah. It's pretty wild.
Yeah, like I guess on top of that, another thing that I remember you posting something on Facebook once that like immediately made me want to have a conversation with you.
Oh no.
It was a bit of like you were kind of like expressing some shit that sucks about like the music industry.
Oh yeah.
And I was like, yeah, I know what you're saying, buddy. I know how you're feeling.
Yeah.
Like I guess I just like it seems interesting for you to be coming from this like musical sort of rich background, and for the landscape of music to be in such a poor condition that it's in, and like it feels like you're this type person that sort of you're working your ass off and doing all these cool things, but like you feel like an example of the fact that the whole system of the music economy is kind of fucked right now.
Yeah. Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, I think that post I was think I was living in my car for like a week. And my sister had COVID, and I was like, I'm not going to be at your house right now. So I just lived in my car, and I was literally just sitting there in my car booking shows. And I was kind of fed up with it, just because, like it's working my butt off. And last summer was good. We got some shows, but we didn't get the shows that I really wanted to get, or not as many. And I just kind of felt defeated whenever I posted that, I think.
Yeah.
But also, it's kind of like, I don't know, I see so many people that, like, that have a little bit better hand dealt to them, which is fine. You know, I think everybody gets the hand they really, you know, are meant to have, I guess. And that's just, you have to work through that. There's been a lot of people, like, I don't know. I do kind of envy the people that have had, like, the financial nudge from like parents, you know what I mean? I have not had that option. It's all been like, you know, just work your butt off and see where it goes.
Yeah.
So
I feel that, man.
yeah,
I've been pretty lucky. Like I've had parents that, you know, like over the years have bought me an instrument here and there, and you know, like tried to be supportive.
right.
But as far as like bankrolling the whole thing, none of that. You know.
Yeah, I guess, you know, I can't complain too much. The two guitars that I do have were my grandpa's, and I started playing them, and my dad was like, "I guess they're yours now," because I was playing them more than he was. So that is yeah. So very very relatable.
Yeah. Yeah. It's interesting. So how's the Boone scene treat you?
We do pretty well in Boone. It's funny because we are continuously asked to play shows there, and I can't do it all the time. You know, I have people that hit me up about playing in Boone almost weekly, like other outside people are out from outside of town, and I'm like, I really want to play a show with you, but I can only play in that town maybe 3 times a year. Just me personally, because it's such a small town. And just oversaturation happens a lot there, you know. Now, if I'll do, you know, shows mainly at Boone Saloon, and that's, like I said, maybe 3 or 4 times a year. We just did this kind of off, like it wasn't really a planned thing, or it wasn't something I was really planning on doing, but it was a good opportunity. We play this thing called Thaw Out. They brought this music festival back in Boone after 24 years, and they asked us to play that, so that was pretty cool. So that's kind of outside of our standard shows there. But really, it's Boone's kind of an interesting town because it's this 4-year cycle. It's all new people all the time.
Oh, right.
Yeah. And I've seen bands. Whenever I first moved there, it was a lot of stuff going on then. Like bands like Arson Daily, Rainbow Kitten Surprise was playing there then. I think the Nude Party was playing there too, and quite a few others. And it was just like around like 2015, 2016, just kind of like teetered off. There's an organization in Boone now, or that started in Boone called Draba, and that guy really he helps put on shows for sure. More of a DIY college kid scene, which is not really what I'm in anymore. But yeah, so if it's related to like the DIY scene, it does very well, like music does there. But if you're like really coming into town, and you're not from there, it's gonna be tough to get people in.
Yeah, that was my experience, and I didn't work it very much, kind of for that reason.
Yeah,
I kind of there's been a handful of reasons, like I don't know, that I haven't really developed, or I haven't really targeted Asheville or Boone very much.
Yeah.
And it's usually something like that. Like it's just those places seem a little harder to build up.
Yeah.
The only times I played in Boone, one of the first times I ever went on did a weekend of shows. I did Johnson City, Tennessee, and I did Boone. I did Galileo's back in the day.
Yeah.
Is that still there?
The building's still there. I don't know if they're like open. I don't see much happening there anymore.
Yeah. Boone Saloon. I've never played there.
Yeah, it's a cool spot. My first show ever at Boone Saloon, I went to go see American Aquarium, and that was pretty sick. Back in 2015, and now you couldn't even get them in that place. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the first time I ever seen American Aquarium and the first time at Boone Saloon. So the first time I ever played there, I was like, holy shit, like just saw one of my favorite bands play here like a year ago.
That's cool. Yeah.
You know?
That is cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. Very cool. So jumping back on the other thing, and this, I don't know if you want to, I can cut this out or whatever, because I don't know what I'm about to ask, but do you, what relation are you to Jeff and Sherry Easter?
It's somewhere, my dad's like cousins with them somehow. I don't know a lot about it. But I grew up listening to like, they were like, I guess part of like the whole Gaither thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know that I'm related to him somehow. My dad used to talk about him growing up.
Yeah. So I was wondering if there's like much, mainly because you're actually in Easter and like whatever. I was wondering if there was much, if you have much connection to that whole crowd, the whole gospel crowd there.
Not the Easter brothers in particular, because the Easters that I am related to, that they're still related to that family. They're all from Rockingham County.
Okay.
And the Easters, as in the Easter brothers, they're all from Surrey, and Mount Airy and all that. But there's still a huge influence of gospel and bluegrass on that side of the family. It's kind of insane. There's a time that I remember going to a family reunion. It was one of the first times I ever saw a bluegrass jam. And I thought that was so cool. And I wanted to be a part of it, but I didn't know how to play anything. I went and grabbed a plastic Pepsi bottle and like started like blowing on like I was blowing through a jug. And then my uncle Rodney, he was like, I can get you something. And he got me like an actual whiskey jug, like, you know, like made of clay. And I still have that to this day.
Really?
Yeah.
That is real cool.
Yeah, but every time I would go to a family reunion growing up, it would be like a bluegrass jam going on that side of the family.
So was that your intro to music?
I think so. Some of it, you know, so my parents, they sang in the choir at church growing up and stuff like that. So that was kind of my main intro, I guess. And then there was always music playing in my house.
Yeah.
I never thought that I'd really do anything with music at all. Like growing up, my parents went to church and they would always try to get me to like go to like the children's choir and stuff. And I was like, nah, I'm like going outside. I'm skateboarding, you know, or playing football. So I literally had no interest at all. And then in high school, I started writing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You just reminded me of something that I think I had tried to get out of my memory, but, same. I mean, my mom sang in the choir.
Yeah.
My dad was actually the drummer in the church I went to when I was like a young kid.
Yeah.
Back when he like went to church. Anyway, one time, oh God, I feel so much cringe even thinking about it. My mom just had it in her head that they had asked me to sing in this trio or thing or whatever in church, like in front of like 1,000 people, and I was like, I don't want to do it. And my mom was like, you're going to do it. And in my head, that just meant now I have no choice but to do it. Like there's no conversation I can have. And it was so fucking scary to me. Like I was shaking and I was like backing off the mic. And then I just realized like 7 years later, you put a guitar in front of me and I like can't help but sing in front of people. Yep. But when I was like 15, it was the worst experience of my life. Ooh.
Yeah. Yeah. Very relatable. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. God, it was a bad experience. So you grew up in the church, eh?
I did. Yeah.
Yeah, same. Was it what kind of church was it?
It was a Southern Baptist kind of thing. Yeah.
Me too.
Yeah, and that's gosh, we can go on the tangent about that altogether. I feel like
I'd like to hear. I mean, it's something that some people don't really love to talk about, and it's no big deal. But
yeah,
I love to hear other people's journeys with it, especially because mine has been not awful, but I departed. Like it's so interesting to be raised to see the world through a lens, and then have to figure out whether or not you're going to keep that lens. You know?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So I don't know. What was your experience with all that?
I mean, growing up, it was like, you know, we're going to church on Sunday and Sunday night and Wednesday for Wednesday suppers. And, you know, you're in like class for like, I don't know, an hour or so, like Sunday class on a Wednesday night. My mom also ran a daycare or preschool at the church. So I was there all the time, like literally all the time. As I grow up, like when I got my license, I just kind of like stopped going quite as much. There was some stuff like there was like a divide in the church that happened. I feel like that happens a lot. Like somebody gets mad at somebody, and then we're gonna start church over here, and I like lost like best friends because of that. And I was like, this kind of sucks, you know. But you know, I still consider myself like a person of faith. I just don't really. I don't take on like the whole like Southern Baptist approach of it, you know. Yeah, just it seems a little too judgmental at times for me.
I hear that.
You know.
Yeah. What parts, if you don't mind me asking, and like I said, if I get to territory that's no fun, then just whatever.
Yeah.
But what parts do you keep? I think is a question.
Man, it's like love it, just loving folks. You know, that's huge. Like just love people because of who they are. That's the biggest thing. That's one thing that I like really has never really left me. I don't think it's like, even though I don't like really go to church or anything, I like just loving folks is the biggest thing for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you feel like the Christian tradition or whatever is like a good way for you to derive that message or whatever.
I think it is. I think it could be one of many. It's the one that I've kind of chosen, I guess. But yeah, like it's just kind of the perspective I have taken. Yeah.
Yeah. I went like way the other way for a while.
Yeah.
And have found myself, at least on a belief, on a bit more like a behavioral level,
Right.
appreciating more of what Christianity means to people and what those messages are and can be. Like I appreciate it more now than I have in a long time.
Yeah.
I think not as much, like loving people is part of that, but I think also I like, I don't know. I think I got to give Christians some credit about just like how if either they are in a good mood a lot of the time, or they really know how to like pretend like they are.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Oh, definitely. Yeah, that is very true. I think one of my favorite things about like church and all that was like the music. Like Southern gospel music is, some of it's just beautiful, I think. Oh my gosh. I was just listening to some Doc Watson on the way down here, some of his gospel tunes, and they're just, man, they will almost bring you to tears sometimes, you know. I think because he was very authentic in general, and like he just oozed his faith in his music and his personality and how he treated people. And you definitely see that when he delivers that in music for sure.
Yeah.
Which is really cool, I think.
Any favorite of those gospels come to mind?
Let's see. What was the one I was listening to? I'm just drawing a blank now.
Put you on the spot. That's how it goes.
Yeah, right. Oh my gosh. Yeah, I can't remember it.
My favorite ones, one would be like Old Rugged Cross. I like that
Oh
one
yeah,
a lot.
that's pretty good. Yeah.
Be Thou My Vision.
Yeah.
It's probably one of the most beautiful melodies in existence,
Yeah.
I think. Yeah, I mean, I love that shit. And it's not even like I said, my dad was like a drummer in church. So like that was my kind of introduction to the whole thing, was like how drums relate to gospel. Of course, it wasn't too long before they cut drums out. They were like, drums don't belong in church.
It's too rock and roll.
That's rock and roll. Yeah. Jesus. It like predates everything, but whatever. So, you know, like, anyway, gospel music in general was like, probably my introduction into music and like introduction into melody beyond just drums or whatever. I think, I mean, like, I don't know, from what I've heard of your music too, like, I think that's what I love so much about Americana roots music is that it like maintains some of that, like that old fashioned style of melody that isn't all, I don't know, that doesn't sound like modern music.
Right. Yeah.
Sounds like that stuff.
Right. Yeah. I can, you know, I think it came out of me, like some of that, just like it comes through my music. I don't even know it. 'Cause I have people that have told me like, man, that song, Nostalgic Search sounds like a gospel song. And I'm like, really? 'Cause I didn't even realize that at all.
Yeah.
Or when I recorded my first record, the song Carolina Home, that kind of has like a gospel sort of feel to it. It could be because my buddy just put keys behind a lot of it, just kind of that drone. the keys the whole time. But yeah, that one for sure to me unintentionally kind of had that sort of sound as well.
Yeah. So you like that? You like maintaining some of that traditional shit? I guess.
I think yeah, oh definitely, yeah. I think I was thinking on the way down here, like just like about country music in general. It's like I don't know, like the whole Nashville thing. People have kind of stolen our culture and like making it their own thing and twisting it to not even be authentic at all. Like just like people from the country, like people live in Nashville now, and they write songs in a city and talking about like living in the country. I'm like, guys, you know nothing about that at all, at all. And that's my main thing is like I want my music to be authentic. Like I just want it to be who I am or what I think, and hopefully, the biggest thing for me is to find relatability in music.
Yeah.
And if I can put something out and somebody relates to it, my job is complete. Or I'm doing what I want to do.
Yeah. I hear you completely.
Yeah.
Remember this phrase, Waylon Jennings. The phrase that people use, like the way Waylon did it. Earlier in my podcast with Sam Foster, I forgot something I was going to ask him, and it was, or something I was going to contribute to the conversation, and it was this. And I'm really glad that we somehow found our way back to it. It has to do with that phrase, and also another thing I heard. One time I was like, listening to the radio, Jason Aldean was being interviewed or whatever on some country station.
Yeah.
And it just really stood out to me because they were asking him about like his yard or something. And they asked him if he mowed his own yard, and he said, "Oh no, I pay somebody else to do that shit." And I was like, I don't know. There's something that bothers me about that.
Yeah, right.
Something I don't like about that shit. And then,
doesn't he have the song called "Big Green Tractor"?
He does have that. Son of a bitch. He does have that.
Oh man.
Then there's that phrase that people use, like, "Oh, it's all about the way that Waylon and Johnny did it and stuff." And it's like that also. That this is what I was going to say to Sam, is just how silly that is as an idea. Like Jason Aldean's songs that are just all those songs that are like, country life is you drive to a cornfield and you cut on Hank Williams and everyone parties. And I'm like, have you ever listened to a Hank Williams song? It is
You're gonna be crying by the end of it.
Yeah, people aren't like taking their shirts off and shotgunning beers.
Maybe Hank Jr.
Hank Jr. Yes, but even Johnny Cash, people aren't gonna like dong 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 dong. It just doesn't.
Yeah.
It's not the party vibe that people pretend that it is. It's just a big romantic. Like. Dream.
It's a line in a song now. It's all it is, which sucks because those guys are fantastic, and they like people are putting them to this one small part, just a line in the song, just to sound country.
Yeah, they've become cliches.
Yeah,
and it does suck. And they were like genuine artists,
Yeah.
So that to me is an example of what you were talking about. Just like, yeah, what culture are we talking about with country or whatever? Like. Of course, I'm not somebody who thinks that when you call something country music that it should sound a particular way or whatever. I'm fine with it evolving.
Right.
But I don't think that country music does do a good, fair job of like capturing that culture that you were just talking about, like the real culture of Southern or rural people, of Southerners.
Yeah. I go to old time. That's country. That's where country originated, I think. And that's where I go to with it. It's just the music of just common folk. And then that kind of turned into bluegrass. And then from there, kind of like, the past 10 to 15 years, it's just exploded with many subgenres of all that. But yeah, just just simply put, it's the music of common folks.
Yeah.
Is what I think, folk music. And I kind of have the same perspective. Like if somebody wants to go out there and make music that they call country, that I don't necessarily like or think sounds like country, that's fine. We're all trying to make a dollar and make a living doing this, if that's what we choose. But yeah, I don't know. kind of lost my train of thought with that, but
No, it sounds like you're saying also you're not necessarily judging the country people or whatever. And
Yeah.
I hear that.
yeah.
So I mean, you know how old time guys and bluegrass guys can be. Like, are you by the book old time?
Oh God, no.
No. Songwriters tend not to be in my experience.
Yeah. So my first experience going to a jam outside of that family reunion, my buddy in high school, he and I started a band, AJ Bennett, really good person in general, one of the smartest guys I know. He could pick up any instrument and just play it. He and I both went to South Stokes High School, and we started this band called Hills and Hollers. Our first show, I think, was at Good Times Barbecue up in Pilot Mountain, and
Nice.
yeah, and we were at practice one day, and he was like, "Man, there's a bluegrass jam going on over at my neighbor's house. You want to go?" And I was like, "Sure, why not?" Before we got there, he goes, "You can't be playing into that Avery Brothers shit. That you He was like, "They judge you a lot." I was like, "Cool, fair enough." So yeah, that was my first experience, like going to like a true traditional jam, and like having to like be by the book. Since then, there's a jam that used to happen at Murphy's in Boone. That's amazing. It's kind of a just open jam, not quite so traditional. Like some guys will just sit there and play blues licks the whole time. So yeah, I'm not traditional at all when it comes to music, or when it comes to like country. I pull from like old tradition, but I'm not by the book at all. I like you were saying earlier, music just evolves. As you know, artists evolve, people grow, and all that. And I think it's cool to experiment at least. You know?
You write words too, right?
Yeah.
I mean, so like you can't add words to word. You know, like those pastimes are so. Those songs already exist, you know, and then bluegrass did something else with them,
Right?
And whatever, and
Yeah.
it's like they don't want like that. I don't think do they even consider, like, when somebody say like Tony Rice or somebody would write an album, do they even they don't consider that bluegrass, do they? Because it's not traditional songs.
I don't know that it just really depends on who you ask too. But yeah, because it's funny that you say that, because like it's like he's like the one like bluegrass guy that like everybody like really mimics picking.
Yeah.
Now you go to a jam and like somebody's trying to do like Tony Rice licks.
Oh, yeah.
Every time, which they sound amazing. But yeah, like I don't know.
That, in my mind, that's what it was. It was almost like the songs, they are frozen in time.
Yeah.
And so there's no music being added to those genres. And so when you're a songwriter, when you're in the business of writing words, you can't contribute anything to old time music. All you can do is be influenced by it.
Yeah, exactly.
First time I went to a jam, it was kind of awkward in a way, because like for some people, they don't even seem to think about how old time people can be. And they're like, do a song. And I'm like, this is a party where everybody knows all of these songs, and you can just say whatever.
Yeah.
By the Banks of the Ohio, or Sally whoever, or murder whatever, and like they all know the
Murder
song.
in an old time song? No way.
They all know it. They all know what key it's in, and they all know how to play it already.
Yeah.
So then when I'm like trying to think of something, I was like, okay, I can play Angel Band. So I was like, all right, I'll play Angel Band, and I do it. And then after the song, I'm noticing throughout that there's like an upright bassist that's kind of looking at me funny. And then after the song, he's like, there's not supposed to be a sixth there. And I was like, okay, fuck. This is how I played it. Whatever.
Yeah.
I don't know the rules, you
Yeah.
know, so I'm not really in the club.
Oh yeah. Side note, one of those gospel songs just came to mind.
Oh, yeah?
That you were asking about earlier. Beulah Land. I think is one of the most beautiful songs ever.
Yeah.
As when you were talking about that just popped in my head. But yeah, Beulah Land is like one of my favorites. Yeah, I'm a songwriter, and I taught myself how to play. I don't know, like I've been to this band that I'm in now for a year, this new configuration, and some of the guys, you know, went to school for music, and they were like, you need to do this, this, and this. And I'm like, dude, I write songs, and I taught myself how to play guitar. I know zero about theory, you know?
Yeah.
And so, yeah, it's to be a songwriter going to jams like that can be kind of interesting. Just because as songwriters, I think we tend to just want to put our influence on our own thought into a song as well, you know? And yeah, it can be really hard to go to those jams and try to really fit in. Because I when I go to jams, I'll throw some licks in there. I don't like pick that well, but I'll throw some licks in there and all that. I tend to just try to bring the songs that everybody's gonna like, know. And I will say that I bring a lot of energy to jams. My buddies told me that, like, there's another one that goes on in Boone now, and he's always like, man, like, you kind of like got us going. And I don't know if it's just singing or the energy I have, like just playing rhythm, because I do play fairly loud. So I feel like when you play loud, everybody else is gonna like want to play loud with you.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I've heard. I remember when I would hang out in Asheville. I would see a lot of young old timers.
It happens a lot now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I would especially think around Boone that must be a thing just because of Doc or whatever. But
Yeah.
Is there a pretty healthy community of young old timers out there?
Somewhat. I think there's not as much as I would like for there to be, as I hope for there to be. But there are a few. There are a few out there. This jam that I go to now every once in a while, there's some young folks coming out to it, which is really cool. It kind of gives you hope for the tradition of folk and bluegrass and old time and all that.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I know that there's a couple of people around here and like up in Westfield that are in that community, but as far as I know, I mean, well, there is a big old time party that goes on up in Westfield, but I think a lot of those people are like traveling to Union Grove or up your way. Or
that goes on after the
Galax.
Mount Airy Fiddlers Convention, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
Yep.
That's what I was thinking. When I used to work at the Heron, Green Heron.
You used to work there?
Yeah, I managed that for 2 years before
What?
I quit. Yeah.
When?
2017 and 18.
Huh.
Yeah.
I guess I was playing it in like 2014
When they first opened up, yeah.
or 15.
I think I went on a date one night and I saw you guys playing there.
Oh,
if I'm not
really?
mistaken, yeah.
With the trio?
Yeah.
Well, shit. That's funny. I didn't know. I mean, like, where did you live around here?
I lived in like Walnut Cove, Pine Hall area.
Okay.
And then I actually worked there I worked at the Dan River Company right out of high school.
Okay. I'm all confused. I thought Pine Hall was a different place.
Oh, no. Yeah, that's like right on the Rockingham-Stokes line.
Okay.
Yeah. But yeah, I worked over there for like 7 years at the sister company to the Green Heron, the Dan River Company. That was like a summer job that turned into like 7 years worth of work.
Nice.
And then I turned 21 and, Dave, the owner, he was like, "You 21 yet? You want to bartend?" And I was like, "Sure, why not?" And so I bartended there in the summers because I would move away for school because I moved to Wilkes County for a while and then moved back for the summers and then moved to Boone to go to App State. And then, I think I bartended there for 4 years and managed it for 2 of those 4 years and then left. They really don't have music anymore, unfortunately.
That's what I heard.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've been going out to the arts place out there and doing some stuff out there.
Yeah.
I was booking some shows out there, trying to liven some things up.
Right.
I don't think I don't think that's necessarily the road for me, but I love what they've done out there with the arts place. But anyway, that's what I'd heard, that Green Heron that wasn't really their focus now.
Yeah, they're just like beer and wine. That's it, which is cool. That works for him. I think he might have been losing some money on music too. So
Yep.
Yeah.
Aren't we all?
Yeah, right.
Fucking A.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, speaking of I don't know, I'd be interested to hear what your vision is, I think, for what you want out of it. Like, because
Yeah.
I don't know, just interesting to hear different perspectives on that these days.
Yeah. Just as a like career in general in music or what?
Yeah, I guess. Like, what do you? I don't know. What are some of your bucket list things with music?
You know, I think it's every musician's dream, or at least a songwriter's dream, to like go full time. And I'm really trying to work towards that. We're looking for we're kind of shopping for labels and stuff right now to see if, you know, I've never been one to like really want to be on a label. I'm a little hard headed and independent, and I'm just like, I'm going to do what I want to because that's what I want to do. And my drummer is kind of like, he's like, man, we can get some money. And I'm like, all right, cool. We'll try it out, you know. But really just be full time and play, you know, and not have to play all the time.
Yeah.
You know, be able to play and take some time off to write. Because, dude, right now, oh my gosh, between working in carpentry and playing and booking and practicing, there's little time for writing. So, you know, back in 2020, I think I wrote. I stayed working pretty consistently in carpentry in 2020, but I did have a lot more time. I think I played like maybe 7 shows that year, and that was it. But I did some writing then. That's kind of the product we're going to be putting out hopefully in the next year. Some of those songs. But yeah, I just want to make a living doing this, and you know, I've come to accept it's hard. It's going to be really hard to actually make that happen. And if it does happen, that's fantastic. That's the main goal. And if it doesn't, maybe it just wasn't in the cards for me, you know? And yeah, so I'm always like, music's always going to be part of my life. And I'll always write, I feel like. You know? But as soon as it comes to the point where I don't enjoy it anymore, I think it's time to quit. But still enjoy it, making pretty decent moves right now. Like, never thought that I'd ever play Merlefest. That was a huge dream of mine. That I think I made like an Instagram post about it like a few days after. Like, it can't, like, Merlefest was full circle for me where I'm at in my life right now. Because I went to Merlefest, unfortunately, the year that, like, first year Doc wasn't there. And I went there, thought it was really cool. I think I went back the next year, and I was like, man, I bet Wilkesboro is just like, this is going to be Wilkesboro all the time. And it's not at all. And my aunt and uncle just so happened to move up there that summer. And they were like, hey, you're kind of at a weird point in your life. Like, that's just weird mental state with me. I'd quit school and all that. It's like some family issues. So they were like, hey, you want to come up here and live? If you go to school, like, you know, you can live here. I was like, sweet. And so, you know, but if it wasn't for Merlefest, I would know nothing about Wilkesboro at all. And so I moved there and then graduated from Wilkes Community College. Went to App State, and that's, you know, the reason I'm in Boone now. But if it wasn't for, like, literally, if it wasn't for Merlefest, I wouldn't be in Boone. I wouldn't know all the folks that I know now, and like have the opportunities that I've had in the industry. So yeah, that was kind of cool to like have that come full circle and play like one of the biggest dreams of mine so far.
Yeah,
and all that. So that was pretty sweet.
I'm sure.
You know? Yeah,
I'm sure. I saw like there's a bunch of locals, like people I'm connected to.
It was crazy, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like you, I saw, like in one day, it was like you, Caleb Cottle, his and hers, and maybe somebody else. It was all
Mason.
Like Mason Vi.
Yeah.
It's like all these people that just been floating around life for so long.
Yeah.
At Merlefest.
Yeah.
It's like, fuck. I missed the boat on this shit.
It was funny because I texted Mason that day and I was like, he's probably just like too busy like to hang out and all that. But I texted him. I was like, hey man, where you at? You want to hang out? And he was like, dude, meet me at the fountain and on campus there at Wilkes Community College. And Old Crow did like a busk like show right there at the fountain.
Really?
It was incredible. It was really cool. Yeah.
That's baller as shit.
Yeah, right?
Yeah, that's cool. I mean, were people freaking out about that?
Well, what's funny is like, you know, I knew about it.
Yeah.
like Mason's mom was there and a few of our friends. So we all were like just kind of hanging out. And they started playing. It was just like in no time, it was just like probably 100 people there.
Yeah.
I would say.
Yeah, that's what I was kind of picturing.
Wild.
That's pretty fucking cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a big deal, man. And so I heard that your new band is pretty kick-ass. Like, who all are you playing with?
Right now we
Maybe
have
not new band, but your band.
Yeah, the new configuration.
Yeah.
So right now I have a guy playing drums for me. He's kind of the one that started all this, and what's funny is I'll kind of start with my story with him. I put out a record in 2019. He hit me up like a week later and was like, "Hey man, I live in Boone, blah 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 blah. I want to record with you. I want to work with you." And I was like, "I don't know who you are, dude. Like, screw off." And then I ended up like meeting him. I was at Boone Saloon seeing my buddies play. He was like, "You're Will, right?" And I was like, "Yeah." And he goes, "I'm Gabe. I emailed you like a year ago." And, we ended up like becoming like really good friends. I was recording I planned on it being an EP. Now it's going to be a full record with my buddy Dylan Evans, who's a electronic artist. He now lives in Pittsburgh, but I was recording that with him in Boone. It was like gonna be like a 3 or 4 song EP, and then Gabe hit me up. He was like, "Hey man, still looking to like record some stuff if you want to." I was like, "Right now I've got a project going on. I'll come to your place and do some demos. Nothing too serious." And we got there, and he had a few buddies he was in a band with already who he had like they were gonna be like the studio guys, and turned out to sound pretty cool. And I was like, the more I got into it, I was like, "Hey, like, let's make a record of like these older songs that I have," and we did, and yeah, it was a really fun project to work on. But if it wasn't for him, I wouldn't like have the guys that I'm playing with now. But that's Gabe Jones. He's from High Point. Originally, he now lives in Boone. Everett Demena, he's the bass player for us. And then Blake Bostain, he plays mandolin and trumpet. And every time like he breaks a trumpet out, like people at the show are just like, "What?" Like it's always pretty cool.
Yeah.
And we've kind of been between lead guitarists for a minute now. We had a guy working with us last summer, Jordan Lamb. He's another Boone guy. And then he has another project going on that he's really focusing attention on. And so we had another guy, Bobby Frith from down in Chapel Hill, playing for us, and just trying to schedule practice for a guy that lives 3 hours away was a nightmare. So we just had to we kind of parted ways back in February, I guess. And then Jordan filled in for like Merle Fest and Chicory and all that. And now he's kind of out doing his own thing with Adam Church again. And we're working with a kid from down in Statesville, I think, Nate Harris. He just played his first show with us last night, and all that. So yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah,
very cool. So do you know, like, okay, do you know when this record is going to come out?
I don't.
Okay.
We're still trying to decide where we want to record at. My buddy has a place in Blairsville, Georgia, that anything's come out of there sounded pretty cool so far. Jacob Davis Martin is his name. So that's an option. I really want to talk to Doug Williams a little bit about recording there. That just seems like a really cool spot, and a lot of my friends have recorded there, and it like stuff that comes out of it sounds really cool.
Yeah.
He's
a cool dude.
Yeah. I think I met him like once at the Reeves, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, he seems to be a big supporter of a lot of the Winston or North Carolina music people, because I like he follows like me on Instagram and all that, and I see he like follows a lot of other like local folks. So
yeah,
that's really cool to have like somebody like him to support
for sure
what we're all doing.
Yeah, I mean he really seems to give a shit, and he like interacts with most things that I post, and like is very encouraging.
Yeah.
It's just it seems like he really gives a shit about it,
which is pretty sweet. Being he's worked with like some pretty big names.
Yeah,
no
kidding. Some pretty big ones.
Yeah,
some pretty big North Carolina ones too. Yeah. That's cool, man. I mean, it's exciting. It sounds like there's just a lot of energy around what you're doing, a lot of excitement, a lot of good things, a lot of good momentum behind you right now.
Yeah. So when I realized that was the weekend of Merle Fest, I was like, oh wow, like because you're at a festival and you're like, man, we're about to go party, and like I think I may have had like 3 beers in Merle Fest the whole time. I was in like show mode or like game mode. Like literally, the day we had the band competition, I was like, this feels like I'm going to like a football championship right now.
Yeah,
and all that. And just I had the energy, and I was telling the guys I was being coached the whole week leading up to that. I was like, guys, we've got this. Like, we're gonna crush it. All that. You're just trying to be positive. And yeah, I was just like, man, we're gonna win this before we even play the competition. Like, you have to have that in your mind. At least that's what I was telling myself.
Yeah.
And then we did that, and then the momentum with Shikori too, and like, yeah, it's funny because you hang out with a bunch of musicians at a festival, you think you're gonna like drink and party the whole time, and the past 2 festivals I've been like, don't really feel it. Like I'm here for a job, and just try to be professional about it, But yeah, I think the biggest thing that's helped us energy wise and buzz wise is I'm bound and determined just to stay busy. My perspective is you stay in front of enough people, you get in front of enough people, people are eventually gonna like recognize your name and listen to you. You have to have a good product too, but yeah, it's just stay busy. Going back to American Aquarium, I think I was listening to a podcast one time and BJ said that they played like 300 shows one year. And I was like,
Christ.
what? Like, that's insanity. And I kind of took that approach this past like summer. I was like, I'm just going to play all I can and all that. But I'm kind of getting to the point now where I'm like, all right, let's rewind a little bit,
Yeah.
not shoot for 300 shows.
That's a lot of shows.
That's an insane amount of shows.
I mean, I don't know how you do that unless you play 2 or 3 shows every, Thursday through Saturday or something.
Yeah.
Like that's, I mean, and I've had years. I had 2 years, or one in particular, where I played a shit ton of shows. I played every Friday, Saturday, and probably most Thursdays or Sundays or something.
Yeah.
Plenty of Tuesdays or something thrown in, but that is ungodly.
Yeah.
300.
Yeah, I couldn't imagine doing that.
That's like Bon Jovi. That's like, what are you doing?
Yeah. I didn't think Bon Jovi would have to play that many shows, man.
Yeah. That's funny. He's come up on multiple podcasts now. Old Bon.
Dude, who opened for him recently? Crenshaw, right?
I have no idea.
I think Crenshaw Pentecostal opened up for him recently.
I don't know. I know he does like some kind of credit card commercial or something. Does he? I'm not sure. Anyway, fuck Bon Jovi. I don't know. Yeah, man, though. I'm having the opposite experience, though. And so I don't know. It might be some work ethic that's lacking at the same time.
Yeah.
I'm not really interested in playing 300 shows in a year, kind of like what you were just saying. But I am trying to kind of raise. I don't really have the bargaining chips, so I think I've kind of got a bad plan maybe. But I'm trying to raise the bar on what type of shows I play, because I don't want to play bars. I don't want to play sports bars. I don't want to I don't want to be doing 3-hour sets or whatever.
They're the worst.
So I work with a booking agent, and I'm like, let's fucking try to get me just exclusively in listening rooms, in like house concerts, in like places where people treat it with dignity and where I'm not having to do the bullshit.
Right.
And it's tough. It's tough. I played a show. I guess I could say this and it doesn't seem too whack, but I played a show up in Richmond at a place that I really, really loved and like really felt connected with. And like the audience seemed to really feel connected with me. And the buyer I saw after the show, and I was like, it was great, and thank you for having me. And they were like, yeah, I think these people will come back next time you're in town or whatever. So I felt all good about that. We reached out like 2 weeks ago, like, hey, follow-up date, it's been a while. And they were like, oh, yeah, you sold like not very many tickets at all when you played here. So basically go fuck yourself.
Yeah.
And I was like, shit, man, like... That's not good. My agent was like, this is what happens when you try to do these gigs without doing the bars. It's like you can potentially burn bridges if you're not selling tickets or whatever.
Yeah.
I'm like, well, maybe my plan is fucked, but I just don't want to play 120 shows that I hate, you know?
Right. Yeah.
Like I could do that.
Right.
I don't want to do that.
Yeah. Yeah, that's, gosh, I'm getting to the point where like somebody says like 3 hours for a show, and I'm like, nope. I need more money if I'm going to do that.
Yeah.
You know? And yeah, because those are not fun because you're going to have to, like, if you're playing a bar show for 3 hours, you're going to have to play songs you don't want to play, you know? And I'm not a big fan of that.
At all.
Being a songwriter, I'm like, and, you know, I've kind of come around to that a little bit more because I know you have to throw people bones. You know, you have to play them something at least they know, and all that. But the perspective I used to have with playing, and I had that from the beginning when I was playing like Good Times Barbecue, and like I forgot the name of the place in Walnut Cove. It was like the first time I ever like played in public. I always had the perspective of like, hey, fuck you, I'm gonna play what the hell I want to play, and that's gonna be the show. And I had that view for 5 years, and I still do. Like I'm still gonna play the stuff that I actually enjoy. But like when it's, you know, when you're playing to a sports bar, which I usually don't play to a sports bar at all. I'll avoid those at all costs. If one of them hits me up and offers me enough money, yeah, definitely. But yeah, I don't know, if you're gonna make some money, I've kind of seen like you're gonna have to play a couple of those songs, but I don't like to do it. So
yeah, I don't either. And I did used to do it, and it was fine. And I usually could make the set list how I wanted it to be. So if I was doing covers, it was, you know, it was shit that made sense, like Neil Young or like And then, I mean, I would throw in songs like I never did something that was so mainstream or what, like not mainstream, so generically appealing that I felt like I was giving away what I was doing it for. Because anything I played, I always like I liked the song.
Yeah,
you know?
If you like it, you're gonna play it well.
Yeah, and I can't even learn a song that I don't like. You know, that's what makes weddings so hard.
Right. Yeah.
I've done it once or twice, but I usually have to have the words with me because I cannot memorize a song that I don't give a fuck about.
Yep.
It's so hard.
It's like, man, I think the biggest one right now is you walk into a bar and you hear like Tennessee Whiskey, and I'm like, dude, if I have to hear this song one more time in a bar, I'm gonna like, bang my head up against the wall.
Yeah. And like I really have love for Stapleton, but that one's one where he's like, man, just calm down. Like, just calm down a little bit. We know you're really good at singing, but just calm down a second. God. I like the shit out of him though.
Oh, dude, I love his stuff.
Yeah.
I just heard that song way too many times.
So what was your first show like?
My first show, I guess you could technically say this is my first show. I think it was called like Ma's or Omas, and a coffee shop in Walnut Cove. My buddy AJ was playing, and he invited me to come to it. And I was like, oh yeah. And like he was like doing a set break or something, and he was like, Will, you play music? Get up here. And I was like, nope. And I got like, he eventually like convinced me to get up there, and it was the first time I ever experienced like butterflies. I played football, never really got butterflies before a football game, but then I did, and I was like shaking a little bit and just nervous. But from then on, I was like, I want to do this. Like after that night, I was like, I have to do this. It's gonna fulfill me in some sort of way.
Yeah.
And yeah. So that was kind of my first show. The second show I ever played, I think it was at Good Times Barbecue, and that was really cool. You know, whenever you play your first show near your hometown, everybody comes out. Like when you're first starting out, and like we played at Good Times, and like people from like Rockingham County drove to Surrey County to see us, and I was like, yes, rock and roll. Like this is like gonna be it forever. You know, like everybody's always at your shows, and then you play a few other shows, and they're like, oh, cool, we've seen you before.
Yeah,
you know.
Yep.
And it's funny now because man, like I'm from Walnut Cove and like the Madison area, and I play there now, and nobody comes out. Mm-hmm. It's the funniest thing. I have to play in Winston for people from that area to come see you.
Interesting.
It's weird. It's so
there
weird.
is something psychological about that. It's some kind of weird thing, man. Like people just, it's just weird. It's like people just when there's something not special about you being where you're from or whatever, where they expect you to be. I don't fucking know.
Yeah.
I'm running that a little bit in town right now. Like there's some people that come to see me, but I mean, people are way more. I think the people who do come to see me when I'm on the road are way more into it than like.
Oh yeah.
You know.
There's a Modest Yahoo lyric that I kind of relate to sometimes. I think that's how it goes. It's like, I'm a stranger in like my homeland or something like that. I'm like, dude, yeah, totally relatable.
Yeah, I like One Hit Wonder in my like the Avett song.
Oh yeah, I was a one-hit wonder in my own hometown.
Yeah. My first show was exactly like what you just described. It was somewhere up there in Patrick County. I think it was like the one place that is in Patrick County where everybody goes.
Right.
My buddy Chris can remind me of the name. I don't remember the fucking name, but my buddy, an old buddy of mine from Walnut Cove, was playing out there. He let me jump up during his set break. That was the first time I ever sang into a microphone in a room. And it was pretty nerve-wracking, and I didn't have a beard back then, and a different person.
I don't think I'd remember you not having a beard.
I know, I don't either. I don't either. I've had one since the day I graduated high school.
I thought you were going to say the day you're born.
No. That would be epic. I should write that in my bio. No.
Oh my gosh.
I stopped. I refused to shave my face after I graduated high school. After going to a Christian school, I had to shave in school or whatever. But I did that, and then what we did was a guy I was buddies with worked at Taco Bell in King. And he worked it out so we could.
The one in the gas station.
Yep, exactly. And we worked it out to where we would start playing there on like Tuesday afternoons. And the deal was we could buy tacos at the same price as everybody else. So we just played music there at like Tuesday afternoons. It was, I mean, it's so ridiculous to think about now what the hell we thought we were doing.
Yeah.
And then there was like Juice and Java was the coffee shop in King.
Oh, right. Yeah.
So then when I first got booked there, that was like, oh shit, we made it.
Yeah, right.
Like, we did it, boys.
Yeah, right.
we're big time
on top of the world.
Yeah, absolutely. So that was where I did most of my teeth cutting, was at that coffee shop.
Yeah, coffee shops and barbecue restaurants.
Yep.
You know what I mean? That's really where I got my start. Also, if you want to play a show at Taco Bell now, they have the cantina shows.
They actually do that?
They do.
Wait, what are these cantina shows?
I guess people just play shows. Like, it's in like Nashville, which is like not ideal, but yeah. So you might have started something back in the day.
Well, hell. Holy hell. Yeah, man. I mean,
I'll just play for free Baja Blast there, dude.
Yeah, man. Why not? Hook me up. Yeah. In Bojangles up in King, they used to do a bluegrass jam on like Thursday nights or something. Oh, nice.
Yeah, I think the Hardys in Madison used to do that.
Really?
Yeah.
That's so weird.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know they were allowed to do that.
Yeah, you never expect to see it there.
No. It's like such a commercial play. Like it's a corporate environment. What?
Yeah.
But it's cool. I mean, hell, if it's getting people to go to music.
Yeah, why not?
They might be doing better, than some bars are.
Yeah. The big Thursday night with the bluegrass jam.
No kidding.
Bluegrass and all kinds of burgers.
Yeah. Yep. Burger King. We haven't cornered that market yet, so maybe we should try that out. Or the Japanese restaurant.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, man, that's funny. Anywho, what do you want to talk about? I've been asking you all the things. I don't know what.
Yeah, man,
throwing a lot at you.
Yeah. I don't know what you've been doing music wise.
Music wise, like I say, I've been recording 2 albums with 2 other artists.
Okay.
So I haven't been recording myself lately. That's something I'm like chomping at the bit to get back to doing. I'm working a lot.
Yeah.
And I'm like really anticipating the time when things will calm down. I'm like really hoping that'll show up soon.
Same.
And when that happens, I hope to get to recording some stuff. But the big thing is just like I'd really love to be finding more shows. That's what I hope will start happening. And like I've mentioned I've mentioned this a lot on this podcast. I mentioned it to you as soon as you got here. my mind is just obsessed with like I have to build like it's very Field of Dreams in my head right now. It's very like if you build a stage, musicians will keep coming to the podcast, and then you can start like doing something else. And I want to play shows so bad, and I want my friends to play shows so bad that are fun. And so I'm like, well, I'll just do that here. And like a day like today, I would love it if you came over and instead of it being like quick, if it was more like a planned out thing and like you could play a set and there were people here to see it and shit like that. That's what I am really looking forward to trying to figure out how to execute.
Yeah. That'd be sick.
I think it would
That'd be really cool.
Yeah.
I, you know, back in 2020 when not many shows are going on, I started these live Instagram shared like things and all that, and that kind of spawned an idea to like start a podcast and all that. That just never came to be, but yeah, glad somebody like you is doing one.
I love it. I really love it. What were you thinking about the podcast? Like, did you have a particular angle, or are you just gonna like kind of do the freeform thing like I'm doing?
Kind of like that. Just get on, you know, talk about what you've been doing. I'd really like I pulled a lot of influence from like Joe Pug, you know, like the working songwriter kind of podcast and all that. But also like I would like for like people to like, you know, perform, you know, a few songs on it too, just to, you know, for people that listen to the podcast and haven't necessarily listened to them.
Yeah.
To, you know, hear that and hear their product.
Yeah. 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 I need to figure out my angle on how to do that, on how to like promote other people's music more, because right now it's just kind of all about the thing, but it's like it takes many hours to do the video component to this thing. So
I can only imagine, dude.
I got to figure it out, but that's awesome, man. I think if you did it, you'd probably enjoy it. I've found it to be like very socially rewarding and also like very fucking like therapeutic. Just to talk through these hardships, these weird ideas that you and I might have as songwriters and musicians and stuff. Yeah. To do that with somebody who actually can relate to it and shit, it's just like really added something to my brain, to my psyche, you know?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I could see you doing that.
Yeah, I when I was in school, they were like at App State, they were like, man, you need to be a teacher. You need to be a professor. You got the gift of gab. And I'm like really? I don't see it, but okay. But I seriously could like sit there and talk to people for like, if it's a good conversation, sit there and talk for hours.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, like you and I don't know each other for shit.
Yeah.
But, you seem pretty easy to talk to me. I think you could do it probably.
Cool.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I'm glad you brought up the quarantine shit though. Cause I didn't even think about that, but, was that like were you gigging a lot at the time, and was that like a big hit for you? Like when shit shut down?
So I think in 2019, I played close to 70 shows. And I was, already planning for 2020, booking shows and all that. And went from like just nothing, which is kind of wild. I think I maybe played 3 shows right before everything started, and then it's 3 or 4 shows, and then like that summer when you can like do stuff outside, I did a few shows then, but other than that, it was like nothing in 2020 show wise, and it was weird. What was nice though is for the longest time in 2019, I was like, I just gotta take a little time off. I got it. For a year,
got a lot.
Yeah. So it was kind of, it was kind of nice, but also it did suck. Obviously, it sucked for everybody. But, yeah, I had an album come out from it though. Started working on that record in 2020 and finally came out in 2021. So that was pretty nice.
Hell yeah.
And then, wrote some songs. I lived in this place out in Deep Gap by myself, like a 500 square foot studio apartment, and it was at times during like quarantine and all that, like it was pretty lonely, but like also like I just had a lot of time to myself and time to like just think about what I really did want, and all that. So
yeah,
and then
I hear that.
Time to write as well.
And did you write?
Yeah. Oh yeah. I there's a few songs that I wrote that last summer, or 2 summers ago now, and one was about like being somebody that's giving your all in a situation, and somebody just not even appreciated it at all. For me, in particular, it was about the guy that I worked for at the time, and the song's called "My Good Enough Ain't Good Enough for You," and yeah, it's kind of like just a big middle finger to the person that like doesn't appreciate what you're doing, and that for me, it was work wise. For somebody else that listens to it, it could be a relationship or whatever it may be, or the music industry.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. I didn't. I was so fucked up in the head at the time. I didn't write very much until, like, I don't know what this means. It's just I've heard some writers talk about how they need to be influenced by life to like have things to write about. Like they don't want to isolate themselves in a cabin and just like write ideas.
Right.
And I think I relate to that. And I'm like pretty extroverted, and I'm often like really affected by the people in my life. That's like fuel for what I'm writing. So being put in isolation and being around like the 5 people that live here other than me was just like, and believing that the world was over for a spell. I was just like, there's no such thing as art. There's no such thing as anything. There's no such thing as being alive anymore.
Right.
Like there's nothing to do. When I finally got a job again and started like observing life again in a new way, then I started writing a lot. But yeah, sometimes when I think back on that quarantine time period, I'm just like, wow, I couldn't record, I couldn't write, I couldn't fucking like
look at anything.
Yeah,
to music.
And I could have done so much with that time, but I also couldn't have done so much with that time.
Yeah, because there was just nothing going on. Because I'm the same way. I pull from my experience in life and what I see and experience, and just that's what I put out. And yeah, so I can totally see where you're coming from with that.
Yeah, but it sounds like you managed to like, at least at some point, make the most of the time that was available to you, which is like fucking great.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wish I could have done the same. But, once I did start working, I did write some pretty cool shit that I'm excited to release. I still have yet to put much of it out. But in addition to that, I mean, the whole quarantine thing, like it did for most people, it might have for you too, just it really changed my perspective on a lot of shit. On my priorities, on like music, on the fact that music ought to be a priority to me.
Right.
On work, on goals in my life, on mortality itself. Like it fucked up my whole view of everything.
Oh yeah.
Has that been do you relate to that at all?
A little bit, yeah. Because like you were saying, we thought the world was kind of coming to a close. It felt in that particular time. So, and like I said, I was not really excited for the situation, but I saw an opportunity to have time off, and I was like, sweet.
Yeah.
But after a month, I was like, oh my God, dude, I just want to play again.
Yeah.
So it really did make me appreciate playing a lot.
Yeah.
I think that's the reason I just have gone full bore back into doing it, playing all the time.
I think that's why I'm trying to as well.
Yeah. Because, you have, if that's what that's, for me, it's one of the things that I know that, like, I think is my purpose here. It keeps me sane. And if it's taken away from you, like, it sucks a lot.
Yeah. Yeah.
It sucks a lot. So yeah, it definitely made me appreciate being able to go out and play and, just put what I experience and think and perceive from the world out there. That's huge for me.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I feel that completely, man. Yeah. Yeah, I think similarly, it, like, even before this whole experience, like working a full-time job too, I think I realized after the fact that same longing for music that I had it already when I sort of let this job and stuff kind of fill its place in my life. Mm-hmm. And I let myself kind of not let music, I let myself kind of allow music to not be as high a priority. And quarantine, like really, really, like, I think it was something like realizing that even the thing that I interpreted as like the secure path that was supposed to be a justifiable replacement for my ambition to play music, even that can just vanish.
Yeah.
Even that can just get pulled right out from under you. So what the fuck is the point of sacrificing
Right.
the thing that you want to do?
Yeah.
You know, that was like a pretty bitter pill, a pretty like depressing epiphany to have.
Yeah.
But, you know, that's just how life is sometimes.
Yeah. Is that how we're dealt?
Yeah. Yeah. Are you pretty like, you consider yourself like a pretty optimistic, positive person?
Oh, yeah, definitely. I try to see the bright light in just about anything.
See, is
And
that
everybody.
is that like a conscious choice?
I guess that's the answer. Probably not. Because I can't think of like, being in like, yeah. Sometimes I think it is a very conscious choice. But yeah, like I feel like you can kind of deal with the situation positively, and that affects the outcome a lot of the time. It's nice to feel good instead of pessimistic. Now, I'm a very realistic person too, but I try to stay fairly positive about stuff for the most part.
How do you check in with yourself to do that? Like if you notice that you don't feel that way, I mean, then what do? I'm asking for myself.
Yeah, right. I don't know, because there are times that that Facebook post you mentioned.
Oh, yeah.
I was just bitter. For some reason in August I didn't have as many shows last year, and I was just bitter. I saw all these people playing shows, and I was like, "Fuck this!" They get to play shows, and I'm not. Blah 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 blah. And I think it just takes some stepping back and appreciating what you have. And that's the biggest thing. Just step back and be like, "Hey, this is like." I could not be doing this.
Yeah.
Even though it's hard, I couldn't be doing this. Or, maybe, I'm not playing shows so I can focus on something else that's going to, bring positive things to my life, Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's just taking a step back and just realizing good things are probably going to happen.
Yeah, I mean, I think like some of the wise people from the past that I try to listen to and get things from, that's kind of exactly what they point to, is just like practicing gratitude and practicing peace of mind.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to learn how to do that because I don't think I've ever really learned how to do that in life. And I don't know, I find it very unnatural. It's not that I feel, it's not that I battle feeling entitled to anything, but it's more like battling feeling kind of just not pure pessimism, more so just like being concerned by threats or concerned by discomfort more so than I do like embrace and celebrate positive feelings and like glee and shit like that.
Right.
And it's like like just from talking to you and just like getting this vibe of like what seems to me like a really genuine, like when you talk about this quarantine period, and I'm thinking about the different ways that we saw that and how in some way for you found a relief in that. And I'm thinking about myself and like how I walked around here like a zombie, just like bumping my head into the wall. Like what am I alive for anymore?
Yeah.
And I don't know. I guess I'm just noticing that difference, and I'm wanting to hear what you thought about that, about like, I don't know how you managed to try to practice that stuff for yourself, which you already answered, but
I do go through periods of time like that, like I was saying back in August, and even right before like we went to the band competition, I was like, oh God, until like I got in like coach mode. I was like, oh man, like what if we don't do well, blah blah blah. And even like the from the announcement of the other band technically winning, my mood was just sour the rest of the day.
Really?
I was like, fuck this, man. Like, we just put our all on stage. Didn't know he came in second. You know what I mean? But they didn't tell you until like they asked me to play Hillside the next day. So yeah, I definitely like I do kind of get like down in the dumps like about like being an artist that's working your ass off to like work for almost get nothing in return sometimes. Is what it feels like. Yeah. Because it's a hard industry, really hard industry to like make anything, in. You know, it's the reason you still have to have a full-time job to just pay the bills. Yeah.
Well, I mean, and I appreciate you sharing that side of yourself too, or whatever the reality, because obviously nobody's going to be happy all the time. That wouldn't even be interesting to be happy all the time.
Yeah.
But it's just it's a weird. I hate to romanticize it in any way, but creativity in general can sometimes be this weird, bit of a curse that just is like
100%.
never. You can never fulfill it. You can never give it enough of what it wants.
Yep.
Yep.
Definitely. That's, I feel more so like that with studio art. When I was in school, I would work a piece until it was just ruined. I really would. Like, I would work a painting until it was just like, I was like, now it looks like shit. Where I would, throwing on the wheel was a little bit different because you get so thin. Well, I guess, it might not be different. You try to thin it out so much that it's just like it turns into just flops over.
I didn't know you did these art forms.
Yeah, I minored in studio art.
I see.
At App State. I'm mainly focused on ceramics.
Okay.
No, but I did a few painting classes and all that too.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but yeah, I mean, I can understand those examples of just overworking.
Yeah.
I mean, it's got to be in every art form, I'm sure.
I think so.
There's like that funny meme of George Lucas or whoever like watching the Star Wars thing. And he's like, I think I might have taken it too far this time. I think it was the Jar Jar Binks one. Fucking whatever. Yeah.
That was kind of like the weirdest kind of era, I think. The Jar Jar era of Star Wars it was just strange.
Yeah, and it's like it was like such an in between thing because there's something in the 70s or whatever 70s, the technology that people were experiencing, they were really shocked by and impressed by. Right. It was like groundbreaking, and I think now the technology is so advanced that it feels natural.
Yeah.
To me, in the 90s ones, it feels like this middle ground where it's like the technology isn't quite convincing to all the people that are seeing it.
Right.
We're like, I mean, like, sure, but this just feels weird, I think that was what screwed it up more than the actual characters. Like,
right, yeah.
Jar Jar's fine, whatever. He's hilarious.
He's the class clown of the entire movie.
He was. He's like the court jester, and you need him sometimes.
Yeah.
Anyway, I don't know how we just got there.
George Lucas.
Star Wars.
Yeah.
Art goes too far sometimes. Yeah.
How do you find that? How do you do that with a song? How are you like, this is finished?
Well, I'll tell you, that's a really good fucking question. I practice something that I've been practicing for quite a number of years now for that very reason. When it's the first sense that it's done, it's done. I do not edit it.
Yeah.
I've talked to some people about that, and I've I was in a duo and I love the duo, and we had a conversation about this, and I mention it not as a criticism because she pointed it out to me as something that she thought was interesting. She would like come to the table with a song that we'd already been working on, but it would have changes to it, and I thought it would be better if it was like this, and I was like, I just expressed my philosophy about that. Like, when you go to a fucking art gallery and you see a painting on the wall, there's something really a bummer about somebody. It would be a bummer if you saw the artist like take that off the wall and be like, I'm just going to adjust this and like add paint to it or whatever, scribble something out. And I feel the same way about songs. Like, when you get it to where you're going to stand by it, you stand the fuck by it, and you just like let it be done. Yeah. Run that risk the imperfection of it.
Yeah. Which kind of makes it cooler, I think.
Exactly.
Because it kind of like, when artists get so big, they just sound overproduced.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And I think you can also overwrite a song. So yeah, I think keeping a song like that definitely keeps it more authentic to the sound.
I think so too. I mean, even if the song is like, I've got plenty of songs. I've got a couple different categories of songs in my head. that I notice, like patterns, and some of them are just wacky. I think the word is what is the word? It's well, there's a, I can't esoteric. Some of them are esoteric in the sense that they just will only make sense to me and whatever other personalities exist inside me.
Yeah.
Like other people aren't going to interpret them the same way. They have no chance at it.
Yeah.
I could edit those songs to be more palatable to other people, but like, why? Like, why not just let that song exist for that reason?
Yep.
Every song doesn't have to be like commercial friendly or some shit, you know?
Yeah. I just spoke to the guy, Eddie Huffman yesterday. He wrote the bio for John Prine. And he's what John was kind of, or what he was talking about John in his first performance, like an open mic, was kind of the same way. John was like, man, like, I'm like bringing these songs that I feel like just have way too much detail here, you know, and they might not be that good. But like, yeah, and people were just like, holy shit, like, that's amazing. You know, because he was saying he needed to like go back and like edit it and be more simplistic.
Right.
And like, yeah,
that's weird to hear.
Right.
In retrospect. God damn, John Prine.
Yeah.
Oh, don't get me started.
Same, dude. I like many tears have been shed like since he's died. They were like reading an intro about him yesterday at that thing I did with Eddie. And I felt myself like tearing up then. I was like, what the heck, dude? Like, it's been 2 years, you know? But still, just like, because I just look up to him so much because he was one of those people that are just, he was who he was and didn't try to put on any front. And he, you know, he was like, you know, I think he gained more popularity in the past 10 years than he ever had. But still, he was huge in the 80s.
Yeah.
They called him the new Bob Dylan. And he had every reason in the world to take that and be arrogant about it, and just wasn't at all. Same for Doc Watson. The guy was just he was just him.
Yeah.
And even on like the statue they put up, and Boone for Doc, they were like, he was like, you better put just one of the people on that statue, because he was like, I'm just one of y'all. You know, so
I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. John Prine too is one of those people who I admire for his just independence. It's just like I'm gonna start a label that like is tailor made for the like how my music ought to be presented to people.
Yeah.
And that has been always my dream since I was since I was 15 or 16. It was like, I just want to be able to produce the art that I want to make. I want to be able to make fucking movies if I want to or whatever. And it's gotten way more specific over the years. But yeah, I mean, I love the idea of being plugged in enough that I could just like have a label that I just operate for the music that I believe in most, which is like mine and like maybe some of my friends or something. Like just fucking put that out to the world. And he's somebody I think that did that while maintaining the absolute most integrity of the label. Like that label is fucking cool. Like that label still means something as a label to me in the same way that like Sub Pop does or something.
Right.
It's just like there's integrity there.
Yeah.
You know, in a different way. I wanted to ask you about categories of song. Like when I said I have different categories of songs in my head, is that something that you relate to at all? Like, do you?
Not quite so much. I don't think. Just like different topics is what you're saying, or
Not topics, but like I'll give you an example. I guess I've got some that are written in like a very distant voice about like nature. I've got some that are more like country referenced, like Americana songs.
Okay. Yeah.
And I've got a couple little families like that they exist.
Just stylistically, I guess.
I guess stylistically and maybe subject, like you say topics. I mean, I could see subject matter being a part of it, but maybe just like families they exist in the way that you think of the songs. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, kind of. Yeah, I can see some of that. You know, when I first started writing songs, they were all like, you know, love songs where you got your heart broke, which everybody, you know, writes about that. But also, I try to write songs along the lines of like, you know, like a coming home kind of thing, homecoming, or at least on that first record I did, but also just finding, just being optimistic as well. And then, but like stylistically, I still don't know what genre I fall in. You know what I mean? I pull from so many things, whether it's, you know, folk and bluegrass or country or rock. Stylistically, I don't know where I lie and what I do, because when I write these songs, they're just, you know, a guy and a guitar, and it just kind of once I take it to the studio, if it sounds good, we kind of go with that, you know. But yeah, kind of yes, but also no.
Yeah. That's a sufficient answer.
Yeah.
Well, as we wrap up the conversation, I should ask you just like what, as far as on the horizon goes, and like what people can expect. Like, wait, I meant to ask you this like 20 minutes ago. Are you still like, what are you doing on are you doing anything on social media now that's still connected to that whole thing you started during quarantine, where you have a way of performing music for people in that realm, or is it like you trying to make that more about the show?
I don't do that quite as much anymore. I think it would be smart to. You know, you see a lot of folks doing that still to this day. Like Billy Strings will just like randomly pop on. They do like an Instagram Live or Facebook Live thing.
Yeah.
Which I think people eat up, you know.
Well, from him in particular.
Yeah,
I'm
definitely.
Sure, yeah.
Definitely. And it just kind of like gives another mode of, or, you know, another way of people just seeing your, like, who you are and what you're putting out, you know. Because, you know, a lot of the times on social media, we're always like, hey, playing here, record coming out, whatever, you know, whatever else. And it's, you don't actually like put music up.
Yeah.
So I think it would be smart to do that again, or some sort of form of it.
Cool. Well, I mean, what is on the horizon as far as like what you might want people to pay most attention to? Like, you got your album coming out eventually.
Eventually, yeah. So for the summer, I don't know when this is gonna be put out, but
It should just be a couple weeks.
okay, cool. So we're gonna be playing in Winston at the Gas Hill Room.
Oh yeah.
On June 16th. So that's kind of one that I'm really looking forward to. And then we're doing the Boonerang after party. That's a festival going on in Boone on June 17th at Boone Saloon. So that'll be a lot of fun. And we're also in the On the Rise competition at Floyd Fest this year. So
Oh, cool.
you guys vote for us, please.
Want to win this?
Yeah.
Cool.
It's funny the difference between that and Merle Fest. Merle Fest is judges only for the band competition, and Floyd Fest is the crowd votes. So
Which do you prefer?
I haven't experienced Floyd Fest yet.
Okay.
So
I'd like to follow back
Yeah,
see
right.
which one works better. But I mean, it sounds like the judges one worked out for you pretty well.
yeah, not bad. I think going into Floyd Fest, like we'll just have to put a lot of groundwork into like advertising and being like, hey, this is like how you can vote for us at the festival and all that. So
Yeah. Well, cool, man. I mean, this has been a very dynamic conversation. I think it gave me a lot of insight into you as an artist. And so, man, I just appreciate the shit out of you, like driving down here from Boone and everything. And
glad to be a part of it.
yeah, I'm glad you were. I hope we'll find some opportunities to like do some shit.
Yeah, definitely. That'd be cool.
Cool.
That'd
Well,
be really cool.
We'll wrap it up for today, and we'll do it again sometime.
Yeah, let's do it.
All right.